Welcome back, you guys. Today we're going to talk about one of the topics that everybody asks about. A lot of people just gripe and complain, oh God, night vision. It's so expensive. I'll never have it. That's not true, you guys. It really isn't, because I know that because I was that person. I was one of those people originally, and I found a way through it to my very first PVS 14. Now I'm running duals and all kinds of other good stuff. But we're going to talk about if we were to give ourselves a imaginary budget of $3,000, okay? We're going to give ourselves $3,000 and say, I have $3,000 to spend and I need to have everything. I need to be able to run my night vision, use it, have it obviously right, and then be completely effective and operational with it. So we're going to talk about probably the cheapest night vision setup that you can do. And I think the one thing that scares a lot of people off with this is, oh yeah, but I don't want to get a tube that's got a bunch of blems in it. I don't want to be the poor guy in my training group that's got the really shitty tube that fell off the back of a truck. And your friends might tell you, tough, you have to deal with that because you're poor. And I think to an extent, yes, but I think to an extent also, no. We're going to dive into it. We're going to talk about how you can actually make some pretty smart decisions and save yourself a bunch of money. But before we talk about it, I want to say a big thank you to this video sponsor, which is Custom Night Vision, you guys. Custom Night Vision is based out of Houston, Texas, and there are some fantastic dudes doing like really the Lord's work, bringing the superpower of night vision to all of us. Head on over to customnightvision.com. You can check out the monocular builder, you can check out the binocular builder, the helmets that they have in stock, and all other kinds of goodies available. Again, customnightvision.com. Big thank you to them for all of their support. Everything that you're seeing in this video, for the most part, can be found at customnightvision.com. They're a huge supporter of ours. I love those guys. With that, let's go ahead and jump into this week's discussion. So let's talk about the biggest part of this, right? Because guys get really torqued up. I don't know how I'm going to afford night vision. So that's where your optic, your device of choice, that comes into play here. And that starts, for me, that conversation starts and ends with this guy right here. This is the PVS 14, the venerable PVS 14. For many of us, right, this is where the conversation starts, and for many more of us, this is where the conversation stops. Getting into a monocular device like this is the most cost-effective way to buy night vision. It's where I started. And if you're really looking to save some money, even in 2025 when prices have gone up quite considerably, you can still get some pretty smoking deals. Now, at the time that this video is recording, we're before Thanksgiving. Black Friday is around the corner. You can use discount code BF2025 on the Custom Night Vision website to save just a little bit more. What I will tell you about this particular unit is even before that discount code, these can be had for about $2,200. And no, before you want to jump to, oh, there's blems all through, there's gonna be little peppers and everything all over. No, this is a clean tube. Yes, it is green phosphor. Yes, guys get really bent out of shape. Oh, I need to have white phosphor. My friends all told me I need to have white phosphor. Really, when it comes down to it, you guys, green versus white phosphor is a personal preference. You're not going to be at a disadvantage using green, and there's a lot of people out there who actually prefer green because it's what they use during their military experience. Now, when you're looking at surplus devices like this, you'll often see them just detailed on a website as Omni tubes. So Omni, in a very 50,000 foot view, I'm sorry, and Redditors, please, for the love of God, don't crucify me for this, all right? Omni is the omnibus contract where these contracts are signed for Gen 3 green phosphor tubes. So Gen 3 is what everybody wants, right? So you're either getting L-bit or L3. Now, that said, because they're Omni tubes, they don't come with an individual spec sheet, all right, which a lot of guys want to see before they buy them. Just know that whatever Omni version you get, you can find on the internet a range of specifications. So any tube that passed testing for Omni 6, Omni 7, I think we're in Omni 8 right now, had a certain spec range. I want to say 6 or 7 was probably the more ideal out of those ranges, but that's not to say that if you get an Omni 8, it's going to be a bad tube. So these devices are great, and they include a lot of features that guys are usually wanting in their binocular devices. Not all binos come with that. And what those different features are, we'll start with manual gain. So you guys will see up here in the front, there's a little knob next to your battery cap. That's your manual gain. It controls the brightness of the image that you're seeing through the intensifier tube. Yeah, there's a lot of housings out there that don't have that, but the PVS-14, while being super affordable and accessible, has that. Additionally, in the back here, it has controls. You can flip on an IR illuminator. If you pull this little control knob out and turn it to the side here, it's gonna lock on, and that's gonna keep your illuminator on. So you can use it for signaling if you know what you're doing with it. If not, just don't worry about it. But it has a built-on onboard illuminator, which again, not all devices do. It also uses the standardized PVS-14 optics, which, believe it or not, like there are optics out there from China or devices rather from China that don't use that. So as we're talking about this, you're going, this probably sounds pretty okay. I could deal with this. What does this cost? Well, keeping in mind we have a $3,000 budget, this device here is about $2,200. If you catch this during Black Friday, and they still have some in stock. This is a little cheat code. If you guys go to the Custom Night Vision website and search surplus, you can find these. And with that discount code, it's right around $2,100, which is a pretty damn good deal considering the price of night vision has only really gone up in the last several years. I know when I got my first device, it was about $2,400, and that's basically a pipe dream at this point, unless you're getting into a surplus Omni device. So let's talk a little bit more about the other expenses that you're gonna have to incur to get this fully set up and working. The next one you can already see here in the image. This is your J-arm. So it screws into the top of the device, and it's an arm in the vague shape of a J-arm, go figure, brilliant, right? And it has this dovetail mount built into the end of it here that's gonna go into your mount. This is a nicer mount. You can actually get the URGI mount and a URGI Rhino mount for under $100 if you're willing to go super, super cheap. Let's say you don't wanna go totally cheap though, because those plastic J-arms suck, and they do. This is the Max 14. Yeah, this is the Max 14 from Noise Fighters. You can get this as well through Custom's website. And this is about a $200 J-arm, right? So it is super lightweight and metal, but it's metal. It's gonna be more durable than like polymer and plastics. Or if you want the AX14, that's the polymer version. It's gonna save you around $50, $75. But this is what we have in front of us. So $200. So our $2,100 optic is now, we're at $2,300 with the optic and the J-arm. From there, we need to talk about mounts, specifically dovetail mounts, because there's other options out there, right? There's Anvis mounts, there's Rhino mounts that take a bayonet style mount, or bayonet style connection rather. This is for a dovetail. So we're talking about dovetail mounts. They look something like this. And this is the mount that you're thinking of. Most people see this on a helmet. This is what you think of for night vision. This is a Wilcox G24 Lite. So really the only difference between this and a regular 24 is like this top part here is plastic. Can you guys hear that? I don't know. Yeah, it's plastic instead of metal. Not a big deal. You save like 4 ounces. I honestly don't get it, but this is Wilcox. You can tell because it has the Wilcox logo on the back, and you can scan the little QR code on the side. Now this is where it starts to hurt a little bit because you're spending so much money on your night vision. Then you start to find out like, ooh, this bad boy here is like $450. And you're like, it's a real kick to the freaking knackers, bro. And yeah, I'm not gonna say that doesn't take, some sting, because it definitely does. But $450 puts us at about $2,750, right? Now, if you're trying to cut some corners, and I'm not gonna recommend this, but I'll talk about alternative mounting solutions. I'll just, without mentioning brand names, there are alternative mounts that you can source out there if you are really balling on a budget. Well, I would not necessarily recommend it. I've had okay luck with a few different ones that are out there. This particular one I think costs like $150. I would not buy a mount from anywhere really that wasn't at least $100, unless it was like a URGI Rhino mount, like a Neurotos mount, something surplus you got secondhand, you get like a really good deal on it, because it's, you know, just scratched and beat to shit, but it still works well. So if you were to get this, that's $150. So $2,400 for our device and J-arm, $150 for the mount. So that's $2,550 if we go with something of somewhat questionable origin, just to get you started, right? So now we move on to what is potentially the biggest question is, what about a helmet? Helmets are really expensive. I need something to mount this night vision to. Do not jump towards a knockoff Skull Crusher. Those things never work as well as you want them to. Instead, what I'm going to tell you to do is pick up one of these bad boys. This is the Team Wendy bump helmet. And again, if you go on over to the Custom Night Vision website, they actually automatically have the discount code in the item description. So you can get one of these for like $350, you guys. $350, right? So the 2,400 we had plus 350 is 2,750, right? And these are super comfortable. The padding in here is some of the best on the market. Some people don't love it, right? Some people hate it. A lot of people really love it. When I got this thing, I fell in love with the padding and fitment. And it also has their ratcheting BOA system. So once you put it on, you click it into place, you crank it down, and it just hugs your head. Really, really nice. For the money, for your bang for buck, I don't know that there's a better solution out there on the market. So at this point, we have our helmet. And the nice thing you can see here, you got your Wilcox mount or questionable origin mount. You can see this is a Wilcox metal shroud that is inserted into the plastic of the helmet here. Metal on metal, good. Metal on plastic, bad. There are some companies out there that used to make a molded plastic shroud that was just molded into the front of the helmet. And when you have metal on plastic like that, it's going to erode away over time. And eventually it's going to stop working and then you have to replace the whole helmet. You can't do anything about that. So I like metal on metal contact. So you got your mount here. Pop this guy in, we lock it. There we are. So you got your helmet, you got your mount, and you've got your device with your dovetail J-arm. Pop that bad boy in, and voila, we have our device for sub $3,000. If you find good Black Friday sales, you might even be able to get the real mount you wanted. Okay, so I know the questions that are coming, right? Hey, Austin, that's great, but like, what about all the other stuff I need? Define need for one. Do you really need it? I will tell you, you do not need any more than what we just went over. However, let's say you want some additional pieces. You want things like a counterweight, you want a headset, you want a strobe, things like that. Let's talk about budget options for all of those things. Let's start with a strobe. We're balling on a budget here. Let's just be real with each other. Ain't no way you're gonna go out and buy a $200 strobe. I mean, yeah, $2,750, you got $200 left in your budget. You could, but it's not gonna leave you a whole lot else. So I will say these airsoft strobes work pretty well. Throw a battery in there, one click on, 2 clicks, strobe, which is super annoying under night vision if you've ever dealt with it. You can flip the switch up front here, and now your IR on, strobe off. They come with their own, like, you know, custom cut Velcro on the bottom. You just pop that on the top and you are good to go. It's not gonna come off. Additionally, if you are really cheap and you are really balling on a budget, get a chem light and tape it to the back of your helmet. Or the nice thing here on the back of the Team Wendy's is they have this little retention cable for a counterweight pouch. You can just shove that bad boy in there if you don't actually have a counterweight pouch, and it's gonna clip to the bottom of the helmet. There you go, boom, that's your strobe. Everybody can see you the same as if you had one of these devices. And this cost you like a nickel, 2 nickels, 2 cents. So that's a really, really cheap and easy solution. Lots of ranges will make you wear one of these if you don't have a strobe, so the more you know. Now on the back here, this is our counterweight pouch. I will just say that you can get counterweight pouches all over the place, even on Amazon. And this one, yes, this is from Amazon. I had this laying around. This helmet is set up for my wife, and it just Velcros on. And usually for about 20 bucks, they come with the counterweights. But if you don't have the 20 bucks to spend, you can do what I did, and You can just have somebody that works at a machine shop cut up some scrap metal here. Like you can still see there's like metal shavings on this. That's probably gonna bug me later. And you can get, I don't know, a couple pieces. This is like 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch or something, or 3/8 inch. I don't freaking know. Just have them, you know, take a grinder to it, get some of the burrs off so you don't have a bad day. And then just duct tape this to the back of the helmet and it's actually going to work. Is it gonna look the coolest? No, it's not, but it's going to work. You're gonna have weight on the back of the helmet to counter the weight of the PVS-14 device at the front. The nice part, again, is that these PVS-14 devices they're not super heavy, you guys. So do you really need a counterweight? Some people would say no. A lot of people would say no. But if you want it, if you want to custom fit this to just perfectly go with how you're feeling, right? Put a little bit of weight back there. I always did. I think I ran like 2 or 3 out of the 5 weights that came with this when I was running a 14, and I had no problems whatsoever. So counterweight, you can do it a couple different ways, all cheap and easy to do. And then the last part of it, because everybody talks about, well, I want to shoot under night vision. What about my ears? Look, we're on a budget here, guys, so let's just keep it real. You're probably running some Walker's razors, right? Some headband ear pro here, or Howard lights, or some combination thereof. Maybe you've got some Sordens or something, and you just don't have the extra money to buy the mounting hardware. If you have Sordens, I'm really sorry. Sound quality, very, very good. Mounting on a helmet, not fun at all. So what you can do, honestly, is run this on your head and then remove some of the padding here on the inside of the helmet, take some of the padding out and run the neckband ear pro under the helmet. There's lots of former action dudes that actually prefer to do that. Cole with GBRS Group actually goes through not 1, but 2 different helmet videos on their channel you guys can go check out about how he likes to pull the padding out, create that channel through the middle of the helmet here so that he can keep wearing his ear pro because he was a commo guy and he wanted to be able to leave his headset on. Is it the coolest? Is it the sexiest? Probably not. Is it going to work? Absolutely. So for sub $3,000, and I'm just gonna be real with you guys, like, that's what it is. I think $2,750 or so was right about where we ended up. Tax and shipping, you still end up under the $3,000 mark. If you are trying to go cheaper than that, where people try to cut corners to get cheaper devices, cheaper than $2,100 pretty rough, especially if you don't have any blems in it or dead cells or anything like that. What I will just say is buyer beware. If it feels too good to be true, it probably is. And the nice part about buying through a reputable dealer like Custom Night Vision or like some of the other places out there is that they offer some degree of service and some degree of warranty, yes, even on surplus devices such as these. So make a smart decision. Sometimes it makes a little bit more sense to pay a little bit more money for the peace of mind, the coverage, and the assurance of what you're gonna get for this. These things cost a heck of a lot of money, even budget setups. If you were to say, hey man, my setup's not that great, it only costs me, you know, $3,000, that's still a lot of money. Most of us, our first several vehicles didn't even cost $3,000. So put that in perspective, right? So hopefully this is helpful. If you're one of the guys that came into this going, there's no way I'll ever be able to afford night vision, my hope is sincerely you are able to look at that differently, very differently now. And if you have more questions, if you don't really know, you know, helmets or mounts or things like that, reach out to Kevin, Ben, Trevor, the guys over at Custom Night Vision. You guys can drop stuff in the comments here. I'm happy to help where I can. I'm not an expert on this, especially when we get into the tubes and the numbers and the stats and everything, the specs behind all these devices. It gets really confusing really fast. So as always, make sure you guys hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the thumbs up if this was helpful. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video, checking out the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.